I wish you could see it. There's a little bar preparing to go live. Little red line goes slowly across your screen. Setting up your meeting. Here it is. Okay, you're live.
Great, thank you, Andrew. At this time, I'd like to call the special meeting of the Board of Trustees to order, and the time is 5:02. I'm going to do a roll call. Sandra Barnes?
Here.
Great. Art Dice? Art, I didn't hear you. Are you on mute? There you go.
I'm here.
Yep, thank you. Bill LeGrone?
Here.
Dr. Spencer Holta?
Here.
And Pamela Hamilton is here and present. Mark Grover has not yet joined us. I understand he'll be joining us a bit later. And we will, for the record, put that in once Mark joins us.
And Pamela?
Yes, go ahead.
For the record, you said the meetings would start at 5:02 and it was 4:02.
Sorry, 4:02. Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks for the correction, 4:02. At this time, Dr. Holtam, if you could help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be appreciated.
Thank you. Please stand. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Spencer. I'd like to open it up now for comments or announcements by the board members. We'll start with Bill. Any comments or announcements?
I have none at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Art, any comments or announcements?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Sandra, any comments or announcements?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, both Sandra and Art. And Dr. Holtam, any comments or announcements?
Yes, just really briefly, wanted to let the board know that I sent an email to them and the entire district today, letting them know of update. A lot of scuttlebutt around on whether or not the governor is going to close down California, including schools, in the next little bit due to our COVID numbers. The inside word that we're receiving as far as superintendents is that the shutdown orders are going to be more revolving around businesses and things of that nature. And at this time, they don't anticipate that it's going to affect the schools. But at the same time, we're happy to hear that. But we know that things can change on a daily basis. So we are watching the numbers very closely. We know our numbers are going up as far as COVID cases, but I'd like to thank our district for doing a good job mitigating these issues. Wanted to also let the board know that we've had a number of families in the last couple weeks request to go back to distance learning, and we've been able to accommodate all those families up to this point. So that's very good. So we now have closer to 30% of our students on distance learning, as opposed before it was closer to 25. So we've had approximately 40 to 50 families that have requested distance learning. But again, we've been able to accommodate those families, and we'll continue to accommodate those families as those requests come in. But it is our hope and our goal to remain open in the hybrid model as long as we possibly can. And as soon as the governor makes his announcement this week about businesses and things like that, and as soon as I know that for sure we're not going to be affected, I will send out a notification to parents letting them know that we'll be open until further notice in the hybrid model. So thank you, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. That's really good news. We'll be open. It sounds like what I understand is that at least through the close down for the winter break, you anticipate being open.
That's what the lobbyists and the people who we're working with is with the superintendents and our people that are close to the governor. Our county superintendent is the one who kind of shared that information with us. And she gets it from her inside people from Sacramento. So that's what we're hoping to be, not only through Christmas, but through, moving forward. But our biggest concern is, number one, we know that 1 week something happens in our state, and the next week things can change. The other thing that I'm concerned about is our numbers continue to rise in Butte County and in California. So that could lead to bigger changes in the future. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that we can continue to stay open.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to comments and announcements by administration. Janet?
Yeah, just a real quick one. We've gotten started on our professional development plan that we had submitted to the DOJ. We uploaded and submitted all of our reports that were due on November 30th. And we had our first round of training with PBIS. And Art, I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming to our training. We really appreciated seeing you there. So we've gotten started with everything. And that's it.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kimberly Tyler, did Kimberly Tyler join us?
I am here. How are you doing?
Great. Yeah, great. Thank you, Kimberly.
I just want to say that this is very unusual times, and I know that we just have the most incredible staff here at Oroville City Elementary School District, and they never fail to amaze me. And I am also very thankful and grateful for the leadership that we have here.
Kimberly, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I agree with you. Andrew.
So good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this special board meeting. I appreciate you guys coming in. This helps us to get our CARES Act money spent in the appropriate timelines. I did have go to a budget review conference with Capital Advisors. And the general gist of the budget update right now for the state is that it seems like the state has earned some additional funds they weren't planning on earning for this year, though they feel that it's one time in nature. They are looking at ways as to what they need to do with the money. With Prop 98 in the state budget, they have to spend a certain percentage of it on schools. So we're hoping that they will quickly end the cash deferrals. They'll have an opportunity to do that in January, which would be a huge help for Oroville City Elementary School District, so we don't have to go out and borrow cash. Or they might turn around and hand it out to schools. Either way, I'm hopeful for some additional one-time funding from the state, which was some positive news. They still are predicting doom and gloom for the next few years, but it's nice to have a little, at least a little blip of good news. So happy for that.
Thank you, Andrew. And Spencer, any comments from you?
No further comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to move on to number 3, section C, comments by the public. The board will extend an invitation at this time to all interested parties who wish to speak on matters which are school related. You may email your comments or questions to the backpack at OCESD.net. Please include your first and last name in your email. Comments and questions will be read into the record and or addressed during the meeting. However, emails received without a sender's name will not be shared during the meeting. The Brown Act does not allow the governing board to discuss or take action on any item that is not posted on the agenda. Andrew, at this time, do you see any emails in the backpack email?
Not at this time, no.
And Spencer, any from you? Do you see any?
I have not received any direct emails to me for the board meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. Given that we're still doing these board meetings on a virtual basis, should another email come in, Andrew or Spencer, if you could let us know, and I would reserve the right to go ahead and read the email at that time. I'm going to move on now to section 4, the public hearing section. The Board of Trustees will receive comment. Let's see, where am I at here? Yeah. This is the proposed one-time 5% off salary compensation for certified personnel for the 2020-2021 fiscal year for OETA. And Spencer or Andrew, I was not sure who wanted to address that.
I can address it. So what we have tonight is with the CARES funds that we receive from the state and federal government, mostly from the federal government, we were able to do a 5% one-time payment to our certificated teaching staff, certificated administrative staff, and the superintendent and assistant superintendents for work that they've done outside of regular business hours. I know that all of our teachers are working very hard, doing things at home like planning, trying to develop curriculum, these types of items. We did bring to the board, I think in the last meeting for our classified staff, a package where they were able to have a bank of hours to use to work on COVID related items, which would equate to about the same amount of money. The difference is because the classified staff are hourly employees. It had to be an hourly type of situation, hourly type of arrangement. Additionally, when you think about the duties that a teacher does, a lot of them are done at home. Whereas with, most of your classified staff, you can't really make that argument to the auditors. And that's what it really boiled down to, was what the auditors would allow. So these AB 1200s are all coming out of CARES money. So it's not money coming out of our general fund. It needs to be done, needs to be paid this month. And it's also a result of, with the OETA, we met with them and came to an agreement in an MOU, which includes this amount also. So that's sort of the whole story of what we're doing tonight, except for there is one other MOU that is on the agenda. But each of these public hearing items are the 5% for the different groups coming from the CARES money for additional, the time that they've worked and will be working throughout the year on their own time.
Thank you. And it looks like, Andrew, then what you did just address then is section 4, items A, B, C, D, and E. Is that correct?
Hold on, I'm trying to get my mouse to the right place.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, that is correct. So it's the 5 different groups. So you have certificated personnel being the OETA, which is our Oroville Elementary's Teacher Association staff, your certificated management staff, which are your principals and your director of special education, and then the 2 assistant superintendents and superintendents. So yes, that the same funding, the same reasoning applies to all 5 of those items.
Thank you. Spencer, did you have a comment that you wanted to make on that before we moved on?
Yes. First of all, Mark Grover's having had some technical difficulties with his computer, so he is on with me on the phone with me, and he's on speakerphone, so he can hear the dialogue right now, and so he's part of the meeting right now on my phone. So he can hear the meeting going on. So when it comes to a roll call vote, he can hear you and he'll be able to answer. So thank you, Mark, for joining us. And the other thing is, I think Andrew has covered those pieces very well. Thank you.
Okay. Board, I'll open it up. Do you have any questions for Andrew or Spencer? Concerns, items you'd like to bring up at this point before we move on? Okay, I'm going to move on to section 5, which is the action section and public comments on action items. The board will extend an invitation to interested parties who wish to speak on the items that are listed on the agenda. Again, you may email your comments to backpack@ocesd.net. Please include your first and last name in your email. Comments pertaining to the items listed on the agenda will be read into the record during this time. However, emails received without the sender's name will not be read. Andrew, are there any emails that we need to be addressed?
Not this time, no.
And Spencer, you see no emails that we need to address either?
I see no new emails. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to section 6, new business. And this is item A. We want to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Orville Elementary Teachers Association, Safe Schools Opening, Reopening, and one-time 5% off schedule 2020-2021.
So I'll go ahead and address this, Madam President. So this is an 11-page MOU that includes the 5% one-time off schedule that we talked about in the public hearing. The majority of this MOU has to do with the agreement between the district and our Teachers Association regarding the opening and reopening of our schools, regarding the safety. This is specifically targeting the safety of our schools following the guidelines of the CDC, Butte County Public Health, and the California Department of Public Health. Most of it has to do with those regs, procedures, cleaning processes, and the roles that everyone plays in this process of keeping our kids, our staff, and our sites clean, up to date, and everybody following the PPE guidelines that have been set forth that we've been talking about throughout this process. I do want to add one additional piece to this. I want to make it very clear that this 5% CARES Act money is because our teachers are going above and beyond. They are doing a lot of double planning because they have students on a daily basis that are both in person and remote. And so they have to do a lot of lesson planning for both sections. The state has required a lot more responsibility and a lot more attendance taking. And so that's another big piece of their extra added responsibilities to this process. And the fact that we are transitioning back and forth into different programs requires a lot of new training and learning by our teachers. And a lot of that is taking place outside their regular workday. And so we wanted to compensate them for all the extra work and all the extra planning that they're doing regarding attendance and everything else outside of their normal workday. And that's where we have shared with the auditors that this additional 5% is justifiable because they are going above and beyond, and they're doing a wonderful job given the circumstances that we have with COVID. So that's all I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Board, before we move for a vote on this, does the board have any questions or concerns that they'd like to ask at this time? Great. If I could get a motion to approve the MOU with OETA.
So moved.
Thank you, Sandra. And may I get a second?
Second.
And then we'll do a roll call vote. I'll start first with Mark Grover. I heard him. Yep, I heard that. Thank you, Mark. That was an aye. Bill LeGrone.
Yes.
Art Dice.
Yes.
Sandra Barnes.
Aye.
Pamela Hamilton is also a yes. The motion carries. We'll move on to number 6, item B. It's approval of a memorandum of understanding with the Orville Elementary School Teachers Association's distance learning for 2021. Spencer, did you want to address this?
Sure, I can quickly address this. This is a MOU that we've currently approved earlier in the school year, but it sunsetted on the early part of November. This has to do with the ability for teachers to work remotely if needed. This is the reason why it was through November is because we're kind of taking it a month or every couple months because things tend to change. We also wanted to see how this MOU would work within the system that we're working with right now. And so we're asking the board to approve this through December 18th so that we can continue to move forward with this opportunity. The reason why we did not, I would say that there is a possibility we'll be bringing this back later on to do through the rest of the year. We've kind of taken it, like I said, every couple months because of the different changes and the needs of the district. But I recommend that we continue this memorandum of understanding with OETA.
Spencer, could you just refresh my memory on when we go back to school after the winter break? Is it like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th of January?
Let me check my calendar very quickly. It is
Spencer, it's January 4th.
yes, January 4th is when we return back.
Okay, thank you. Board, any questions or concerns, comments that you'd like to make on this before we move forward with the motion? At this time, if I could get a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Orville Elementary School Teachers Association regarding distance learning for 2020-2021.
Moved.
Thank you. Was that Art? Okay, and may I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sandra, and we'll do a roll call vote. I'll start with Mark Grover. Mark?
Aye.
Aye. Mark is an aye. Art?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Bill Agrone?
Yes.
And Pamela Hamilton, so yes, the motion carries. We're going to move on to section number 7, item A. It's item A, B, C, D, and E are all addressing the salary, right? The 5%. Yeah, the 5% salary compensation, one-off 5% salary compensation. Does the board have any questions or concerns about any of these items, A, B, C, D, or E, for any of the different parties? And I'll ask Spencer or Kip, can I wrap this all into one motion?
Yes, if your motion can include all the sections, then I think it's permissible.
Okay, great. We'll give it a try. I'd like to propose should I do this or should I look for someone else to propose a motion?
Either way.
I'd like to propose a motion to approve as presented a one-time 5% off salary compensation for certified personnel for 2020-2021, a one-time 5% off salary compensation for certificated management personnel for 2020-2021, a one-time 5% off salary compensation for the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services for 2020-2021, a one-time 5% off salary compensation for the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for 2020-2021, and a one-time 5% off salary compensation for the Superintendent for 2020-2021.
Madam Chairperson, this is Bill Agrone. I will make the second and making clear what my second is. My second is to approve agenda item number 7, subsection A, B, C, D, and E as agendized on the December 2, 2020 special meeting agenda.
Thank you, Bill. And we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. I'll start with you, Mark.
I say yes. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Art?
Aye.
Great. Sandra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And Pamela Hamilton is a yes. The motion carries. At this time, I'd like to adjourn. Well, first of all, I'd like to say happy holidays to everyone and be safe and see you all soon. And at this point, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. And it is 4:27 p.m.